going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. But first, stay on this video. This is going to be kind of an interesting video, right? So if you've been a fan of the channel for somewhat a long time, I haven't been doing videos for a super long time, right? If you've been a fan for somewhat a long time, you remember my conversations with anti-2A family members video. And some of y'all loved that video. Some of y'all were like, bro, it's the same thing over here, man. Like, some of y'all got it completely. Now, I wanted to change it up a little bit because I'm not really in too much contact with anti-2A family members. I'm really not, right? So I thought about it, and I had a, Christmas happen. I had to see family members, things like that, of course. So I had a good video idea while I was sitting there during Christmas time, and that is this one. You've seen the thumbnail, you read the title. Let's get into it. Conversations with pro 2A family members. So let's get into it. We're going to start it off with my grandpa on my dad's side. All right, we call him Poppy. All right, he is dope. So sitting there hanging out with my fiance. This was Christmas, right? Hanging out, on my dad's couch, and I'm talking to him, and I don't even remember what it was that made me bring up the topic of guns, right? Oh, you know what? I remember now. I asked him because my grandma told me that he had a 22. So I'm like, okay, like 22 rifle, like a Ruger 10-22, 22 pistol. What are we talking here? 22 pistol. Okay, cool. So, I eventually asked him, I'm like, Poppy, why do you only keep a 22? Right? And he looked at me, he's like, oh, Marky. Because that's what all the people, who are older than me, my family call me, obviously. They're like, buddy, you don't know. I used to have 12 guns. I'm like, oh, damn. I haven't even hit that number. What are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, so let me get into this with you. He goes, I still have my 22 from when I was 16 years old. Just for reference, guys, so you can understand, we celebrated my grandfather's 70th birthday when I was 14. So he's over 75 years old. I can say that with certainty. And I'm not saying that as a, diss to him. My grandpa's a dope dude. All right. Like, I got stories of this dude that would make some of y'all be like, oh shit, so we're talking a gun that is at least 60 years old. And I'm like, yo, you're joking, right? And he's like, no, dude, I still have it. I love that thing. And I'm like, what happened to all the other ones? And he's like, well, I got married, I started laughing. My grandma gave him a little death look like, hey, watch what you say. You go any further, it's going to be a problem when you get home, I thought that was kind of funny. But, we sat there and we started talking, and he was telling me, about the guns he had and how he would always go hunting, things like that. And he mentioned how, and here's a perfect example, guys, of why gun safety is so important. He mentioned how his brother being a dumbass, and his words, not mine. You know what I mean? This is, this is technically my uncle, because I don't know what you call that, like great uncle, grand uncle, I don't know, but he's my dad's uncle, all right, because he's my grandfather's brother, right? So how he blew 3 of his fingers off with I think it was a shotgun because he had his fucking hand over the barrel. He was so stupid for it. He only has 2 fingers on one of his hands now. That's important. Why gun safety is so important, guys. Big deal. You know what I mean? So, but he would tell me how, oh yeah, well, me and my brother, we would go into the woods. We'd have like 600-700 rounds with us, and we'd say we're going hunting. You go there with a cooler, come back, no ammo. No deer or nothing either, just no ammo. I'm like, oh, so you were just having fun the whole weekend? He's like, yeah, pretty much. We just spent the whole day just hanging out, having a good time. And I'm like, wow. So I'm asking him about some of the guns he has. He mentions that he had a Colt Python. And I'm asking him, like, wait, when did you have this? Because something just clicked in my brain, and I was like, didn't they, start remaking Colt Pythons back in, 2020? So the one he had to have had has to be like old, like maybe an original production type shit. And I was correct, and he told me, he was like, yeah, so I sold it to your grandma's brother. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, do you know how much I would love to have that thing? He's like, really? And I'm like telling him, I'm like, Poppy, you don't understand, buddy. That gun itself nowadays, just the new versions, is about 1,300 and change from what I've seen at gun stores. So imagine a original production, and if it's fully functioning, oh my god. You know, I told him, I'm like, dude, these guns that would be in the family, if they go to me, they will never get sold. They'll maybe get shot once or twice, you know, but they'll get their own cases. You know, they'll be put up. They'll, excuse me, sorry y'all to hear that. They'll be put up. You know what I mean? They'll be cherished. You know, and he started laughing. I could tell that, you know, he was like, damn, that's cool. I started showing him some of my videos, some of my YouTube videos, my shorts, you know, me shooting. And he was like, holy shit, see, that's what it was like. We would just go out to this property that we, you know, could go to. And, you know, sometimes we would go in the woods, sometimes we would do this. And it was, you know, it was a lot of fun. And, you know, it was cool talking about this with my grandpa. Right. Now, another reason why I'm, you know, bringing up why this was so fun for me is that it, he never really talked about guns too much when he was, you know, when I was younger at least. He never brought it up. I'm assuming that's because my grandma didn't want him to, you know, and it wasn't that big of a deal. It's not like he would have, you know, brought the guns out and showed me them or my brother them or anything like that. However, it would have been something interesting to know. You know what I mean? That would have been really cool. That's something that, you know, I mean, knowing what, you know, what it is now, what the situation is now, I just was like, holy shit, wow. You know, and I even told him, I'm like, dude, if you, he said, he's like, I'm gonna try to get that Colt Python back now, and I'm like, yeah, you should. And I even went to, you know, as far as asking him, I'm like, what barrel length was it? He's like 6 inches. And I'm like, dude, you had the Rick Grimes gun, buddy. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, dude, Rick Grimes in Walking Dead shot a 6 inch barrel Colt Python. That's what he had, you know? And he was like, holy fuck. So he, you know, it was cool. It was super cool talking about it with him. You know what I mean? The next person, my dad. My dad, he was kind of iffy at first. You know what I mean? He would sit there and he would say some kind of fuddish things. You know, he'd be like, oh, yeah, why do you need this many rounds? Things like that. You know, and he would start trying to bring up school shootings, you know, and I'm like, look, dude, I feel horrible about school shootings. I feel horrible about mass shootings as a whole whenever they happen. It's a tragic, horrible thing. However, I'm not the one committing these. I'm not the one enabling these mass shootings to happen. I'm not the one, you know, that's causing these tragedies. So why should I have to be the one who's affected by it? I have nothing to do with the situation. Why am I going to be the one that's affected by it? That makes no sense to me. You know, that's just basically saying, hey, you know, like that I don't know. It just seems weird. You know, people could make the analogy, oh yeah, well, it's like in class when, you know, one kid would get in trouble, the teacher would punish the whole classroom. But it's different because, you know what I mean, we're talking about an entire country. We're not talking about a classroom. And when I made this, you know, statement to him, I, you know, expressed, you know, okay, this is where it's not adding up, he started kind of leaning more towards it. Now, I will say my stepmom is not very pro Second Amendment. She's not, I don't think she's against the Second Amendment truly, but she don't want guns in her home. That's her choice. You know, she can do that, whatever. You know, my dad, he's chipping on that one. He's chipping away. But that's neither here nor there. Now, what is when I see him and I'm sitting here trying to explain some guns to him, and he goes, question, did you know about this? Did you know the Second Amendment meant this? Did you know this and this? And, you know, he's spouting shit that, you know, yeah, these things are true. You know, he's saying, did you know the Second Amendment wasn't really for self-defense in the beginning? Things like that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I've been knowing this, dude. It's a perk that we have self-defense as well as that, you know what I mean? But then again, that's just a natural, you know, that's kind of the natural law of the world is, hey, I don't want to have to sit here and, you know, worry about dying because someone else wants to kill me. I'd rather sit there and be able to protect myself and get that handled, you know? So that once I started getting things, you know, explained to me, came back and he was very, you know, he was like, you know what? I see where you're coming from. I've done my research and I see where you're coming from. You know, and then he even went as far as to say, hey, I think that the laws we have now are insanely fucking stupid. And I'm like, 100%. There's no reason for it. The only people that are going to sit here and commit crimes with guns, we're going to commit crimes without guns too. They didn't care. They were going to commit crimes regardless. Evil's going to be evil regardless of what tool the evil can have. They're still going to be evil. That's how it works. Now, I know this is kind of a shorter video, but I did want to bring up these conversations because it's very cool to see, certain members of my family that they agree with me. They're like, you know what? Yeah, dude, this is spot on. You're exactly right. And especially when I've had, family members that are, completely against what I say. So it's like a breath of fresh air. It's something I enjoy talking about with y'all. So if y'all have any, good experiences with family members where they're like, you know what, you're 100% right. Like when it comes to the 2A, you're 100% right. When that happens, man, y'all know it's a breath of fresh air. So with that being said, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And because you agree with me, it is dope to have family members that agree with you on the Second Amendment. Y'all go ahead and make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.